So a very warm welcome to everyone. I'm Sue Godfrey, and I'm going to hand over to the wonderful Sue Tonks. Over to you.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. Lovely to speak to you. This is probably the best voice I've had since before Christmas. So I'm sounding a bit croaky. It doesn't hurt. I just haven't got a voice, which probably my Sue says it's the quietest Christmas she's ever had. And but anyway, we'll crack on and hope you can hear me. All right. So today we're going to talk about perfecting the 60 seconds, your intros. And that's because whenever anybody asks people, what do you do? Which is virtually like the 60-second intro, we get a bit stuck. And then might have different groups we go to where we might say something that speaks about our business, but doesn't really get us where we need to be. So what we thought we'd do today is have a look at perfecting the 30 seconds and also have a look at some of the periphery things we can do to enhance that 30 seconds and those opportunities we've got with networking online. And also, because it's going to be the 30 seconds, it's also about when we do networking face-to-face, because everything that we're going to talk about will fit both parts. So I'm going to share my screen with you now. And get ready to, there we are. So all see that? Thumbs up? Brilliant. Okay. So we're going to perfect this 30-second intro. So why is this important? So it's your showcase. This is the bit that's going to connect with people. So if you're on a Zoom, they will see your face. Hopefully, they'll see your face. Of course, if you haven't got screaming children about or your camera's not broken or whatever, so they see your face. So that's the first 3 seconds. They'll have a look at you. Okay. And during that time, they'll also see your name. And that's why in LoveBiz, we always say, put your name clearly and your business so that they can relate to 2 things at the same time. And then during that networking, we will get to do our 30 seconds. And it's what we say in that 30 seconds will make a link directly to a customer or a potential customer or something that they can talk in the breakout rooms too. So I always write down a little bit about in my notes when everybody's introducing themselves, what they do. So when we get to the next bit, which is the breakout rooms, we can actually go in and say, oh, I saw you do such and such, that's interesting or whatever. So the funny thing is the same message that you say may actually send different messages to 6 or 7 or 8 or 10 people that are listening at the same time, because everybody wants to pick up something that relates to them. And it's about how do we do that with our 30-second intro. So first thing I want you to think about is who are your customers? Because and this is all, when everybody says to me with HydroVeg, who are your customers, Sue? God, it could be anybody, but anybody isn't what we need to be looking at today. So I want you to get a piece of paper and a pen. I want you to draw a line down the middle of the page. And on the left-hand side, I want you to write at the top, who are your customers? And then I want you to write down the different sorts of people or organizations, not the names of the organizations, but who would be your customers. So we've got we've got Colette on. Okay, so if Colette is on her dog business, because Colette has many businesses, if Colette was on a dog business, she'd look at all sorts of things relating to dog health or welfare or families with young children and a dog or whatever, and she writes a whole list. Okay, so I need you to do that now. So these are the types of people that you would be aiming for as your future customers. And when you've got yourself 5 or 6 or 7, put your hand up so I can see. Brilliant, thanks Lucinda, great Steph. Liz, well done, we sound like we're all there. So I've cheated a bit because I've done a bit before this, but this is what mine would look like. I also want to know, what do they want from us? But I'm going to deal with that one in a minute. So here for HydroVeg, here are my possible customers. People that can't manage a garden anymore. Maybe they've had an illness, maybe they're getting a bit older, maybe it's just too difficult to do the gardening and grow their own veg. People with small gardens, or perhaps no garden, they've perhaps only got a yard. People who want to eat their own healthy food. Families with young children or elderly parents, vegetarians or vegans. People who want to improve the ecosystem, so use less water, energy, air miles, packaging, that sort of thing. People that used to have an allotment, but because of all sorts of reasons now, they haven't got an allotment anymore, but they still want to grow their own veg. Schools and community groups. So actually, no, I could go on for another 20 on my list, but I haven't got any room for those. So we'll just work on this one. So I've no idea when somebody goes online into a Zoom or that I meet at an event, which one of those is going to fit. And when people say to me, so what do you do, Sue? My difficulty is I've got 7 businesses. So I'm not going to trail off the whole pile of businesses or different things that I do. And if I choose one of these, it might not be suitable. It might not grab them. So one of the first things I say is, actually, I do many things. Tell me what you do. And when they say what they do, I might be able to make a link. Or if they say, what do you do, Sue? I say, all right, let me ask, do you have a garden? And they said, yeah. I said, do you grow your own veg? No. I said, oh, why don't you do that? Oh, well, you know, last time the slugs and the snails ate it all and I spent hours on it and whatever. And that's given me a picture to link in with one of my answers. Okay, so don't be afraid to ask them a question if it helps you narrow down. But you might on a Zoom have a bit of an idea from what other people have said, what you want to cover. So you choose which one of those who are your customers that you want to give the answer to for that. The other thing is, it might be a special time. So if we're coming up to spring, yeah, I might use something about one of these to relate to people starting to plant their own new veg out ready for the whole of the summer and the autumn period. Or it could well be, if there's a special occasion, it's Mother's Day or it's coming up to a special birthday or whatever, anything that's going on, you've got one of these links that we're going to create for you in a moment. All right, and that's to make it really sort of up to date and following whatever is, you know, it could be annual sort of yearly vegetable day or whatever, and there might be a special link and special notice you can make of that. So hopefully now you've got your list of customers. Now, what do customers want from us? Each customer will want something specific from us. And for each of those answers to who are your customers, there might be some specific things that they want from us. So let's have a look at that. So this is one I've prepared. So people who can't manage a garden. So what do they want from me? They want something that's easy to maintain, no heavy lifting or digging or weeding, limited watering, ease of reach, wheelchair mobility friendly. So just on that one, I've got a whole load of things that I might be able to say relating to not being able to manage a garden. If somebody's got no garden space, then I can talk about growing veg vertically with little ground space so they can have virtually allotment and a half in no bigger than a fence panel. If they want to eat their own healthy veg, We can grow veg in the Hydro Veg Kits 365 days a year, just to go out and pick and eat each day what they want to eat, with no waste, no herbicides and pesticides. So for each of my types of customers, there's something that each of them want from me. Okay, so on the next bit of your page, on the right-hand side, I would like you to write some things down for each of the customers, just like I've done. The steam coming from some of your ears. That's wonderful to see that you're doing that. Sue Godfrey, remind me to give Kate Bailey 2 brownie points.
Right.
For later, don't worry, I'll tell you why later, but Kate Bailey's got us have 2 brownie points.
Woo! You can almost hear the cogs going round and round, can't you?
No, absolutely fabulous.
A quick show of hands when you've finished, that will help, Sue. Yeah.
Well, oh, good. Oh, all right. You're just making it pretty now. That's good. Now, yesterday, I'm very sad. I get this science magazine come through called SCI. I don't know why, but I'm on this worldwide science panel. I don't know why, but they sent me this magazine. And I was looking at it the other day, and there's a big article here about the end to food allergies. Anybody, there's nobody, I don't think there's anybody on that Zoom related to food. No, let's say I read that article and I was related to food. I might then start off my 30 seconds talking about people with allergies, because that might be on my list, and say, I just read this fabulous article the other day called The End of Food Allergies. Now, I don't know if any of you got family members with food allergies or whatever. What I do is, sorry. So you might see an article that relates to something that's related to your customers, and you might then use that as a starter point for something that you've read. And also in that magazine, it's fabulous, this magazine, I noticed something about rewiring the brain. I thought that'd be quite good for Jules McMullen-Kerr, but on rewiring the brain, which was a really fabulous thing that says about dementia. And we didn't think that if people had strokes or got dementia or had some various issues that affected the brain, that it would be able to replenish itself. But they found out that it can. given certain, so stuff like that. It's really, really good. So anything that you read, and then the very first thing that I opened up, it was about fertilizer fears. Okay, and so that relates directly to me. So anything that you read, you may well use the technique I'm going to be showing you today to bring that up. So there's all sorts of things. You've got your list, you've got the sorts of things your customers want from you, and there's all sorts of other things that relate to the date, of the time, or the special occasions, or whatever, and things that are current in the news. So all of this plethora of information. And the reason why I tell you that is that, and I'm also to blame, is the fact that every time we hear what you do, generally, it's exactly the same to everybody, regardless. And I think every time you open your mouth and you say what you're about, it should be totally different. Because if people are hearing something different each time, it's actually adding on to the knowledge and the understanding about all the different things that you do. And they think, oh, I never heard them say that last time. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know they did that. And so therefore, it's a lot wider scope for people to actually think, I didn't know you did that, or oh, that's interesting. Because we never know who's going to be having an issue at that point in time where that particular bit of information triggers. And none of us have got all of the information about our product or our services that can work for everybody all at the same time, because people need different things at different times. Now, it could well be that I was chatting to my next door neighbour the other day, who's having a really bad problem with her young son, who's 13, who's not communicating very well, and he started to use violence. So I might pick up something from Jules about that. I could pick up something from the Soul Optimizer about what's going on. Yeah, I could pick up something about dealing with problem behaviour from Colette Jacobs, and I think, oh, that links all sorts of stuff. So I might decide I want to send them a nice card to make them feel a bit happier with Kate Mail. So all sorts of things. Okay, so I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. Now you've done some work. So this is where we're up to last time. So what do our customers want? Well, they want to be like others. People rarely want to tread a little lonely furrow. And what we found is most people want to relate to what you do as a whole. So if they're the only person in the world that wants to do such and such a thing, they won't feel right. But if we say that lots of people, many, over the last 3 weeks, many people have contacted me about many people have wanted to know about, people love to join the flock. And they prefer to do something that other people have done. And that's why in sales and on when we see on Facebook, all these people have wanted to do this, or all these people are getting involved in this, and people don't like missing the boat, and they don't like being left out of things. They want to join in. So I want you to remember this bit, because this is going to link into what we're going to do in a minute. And secondly, they want you to be just like them. So you'll see where this is going as we go through to the next bit. So if we said something like, when families like yours want to, when people want to start looking after the planet, when people like you want to grow their own food, have little space, most people these days are looking to improve the diet, all right? What we're doing is including them in that, and they want to be like you. So they're like you. They want to improve the world, reduce packaging, eat healthier, lose some weight, whatever it is. And they want to be like other people, because other people, most people, lots of people are also doing the same. So these are little trigger words to fit into your 30 seconds where people subconsciously want to join in. So this is where we're going to go with this one. Now, most of you will have heard this phrase loads and loads of times. But before we get to this phase, I'm going to say to Steph Burge, what do you do? Take yourself off mute, and I want you to answer the question, what do you do? So don't look at the screen, block it off, and just answer the question. What do you do?
I help men or women in midlife make great decisions and live with joy.
Okay. All right. So I'm a person in midlife. In fact, I'm probably the other side of midlife for you, Steph, right? I would like to live in joy. Am I getting that link with it at the minute? So what we're going to do is we're going to work with this a little bit further. Now, should you have said, Steph, and I am so pleased you didn't, should you have said, I'm a coach, I'm just gonna stop sharing a second while I look at you again. If you just said, I'm a coach,
yeah,
right? How many of you people on there would be really excited to know that Steph's a coach? Put your hand up. All right, we've got one, and that's Jules, because she's also a sort of coach. And you know, people like people, oh, she's a person like me. All right. Now, Lucinda is also a coach, but she didn't put her hand up there because she said, no, I'm a blinding coach. Because we don't know what sort of coach you are. Has anybody met an accountant? Put your hands up if you've ever met an accountant.
Oh, yeah.
You say it's a networking event or in a one-to-one Zoom chat. So what do you do? And they say, I'm an accountant. What do you think?
well, that's dull.
Yeah, boring. Thank you, Colette. I think Kirsty's little abded like that said that. All of that sort of stuff.
Big turn off.
It's a big turn off, yeah. And you know, I don't know, but there's loads of different sorts of accountants. But when they say I'm an accountant, it has automatically clicked off a message in our brain that says, oh, well, the person's a bit boring, or I don't need an accountant, so I don't need to listen. Okay. Anybody ever met a consultant? Okay. Now, we've got no chance, have we? We say, what do you do? I'm a consultant. That really helps, doesn't it? So then you have to say, oh, what sort of consultant are you? Because you don't know, are they a medical consultant, a sales consultant, an IT consultant, a business consultant? Yeah, no idea. So we say, what sort of consultant are you? And they say, I'm a business consultant. Well, you see, Janet Bridgewater could have said that. Yeah?
Could have said it. Procurement consultant. I've got it written down.
Business consultant. And then do you know what they do? Do you know what a business consultant does? No idea. So then you say, oh, what sort of business consultant are you? Now you've lost the will to live because you asked, what do you do? Oh, what sort of consultant are you? Well, what sort of business consultant are you? And then we're on to drilling, and they've still not answered us properly, so we give up. All right. So let's say you're chatting to this person on Zoom or face to face, and they said, I'm a business consultant. Then you think, I'm not sure. So if they said, you know, when multinational organisations want to buy out other multinational organisations, well, what I do is I source different sorts of businesses across the world that will fit a customer's portfolio, and then make the initial arrangements to talk to them and to see whether they're going to be a good fit for this company. So we've picked up various messages then. I work with very large organisations that want to grow globally and have global links across the world. So that's the big picture. Now, most of us in this Zoom and in Love Biz, and most of the people I ever meet, that wouldn't mean anything to them, and it wouldn't be a marketplace they were in. But for somebody at an event, they might say, actually, yeah, we are looking to expand our wings and and they would make that connection. But if the person said, you know, when small businesses start up and they've got all sorts of things to think about, you know, they've got their accounts and the marketing and the sales and putting it all together. And sometimes for new businesses, it can be really, really sort of, you know, they don't know where to go or what to do next. Well, what I do is I help small businesses set up the outlines of their business with all the systems they're going to need, so that in the first 6 months, they can just go in and operate without thinking anything too deep. Okay. Now, that would apply to all of us because we've all set up our own business. We've all had to set up systems and procedures. So suddenly that word, which is exactly the same as it's a business consultant, now means something personally to each of us. So even a term business consultant, what they do is totally different. Okay. So what we need to do is find a way to get that message across to people. So I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. So I start off when somebody says, what do you do? Or at the start of the 30 seconds, you know when. So you know when, that sets the scene. Oh, so if we went, well, I'm not going to ask you yet because I'm going to get you to do this one. You know when, well, I help, which is the bit that Steph jumped in. So she came in a sentence later. I help, types of people. And then we have a choice, either to, by, with, or when. I help people, to do this, by doing that, with, their, and when they, and as a result, they, whatever. Okay, so you know when people want to grow their own veg but have got no space in their garden, or they're sharing the garden with the children and the dog? Well, I help families to grow their own veg in no space, with no digging and weeding, taking up no room, by providing them with a hydroponic, and as a result, they can grow veg 365 days a year without ruining the garden. Okay, so all of that sort of fits in. So the you know when is specifically to your type of customer or that particular situation or occasion. Well, I help, and then the type of customer, because their customers like to do business with people that are like them. To, with, by, or when, and as a result. So let me show you how that looks. This creates the context. So remember that bit that we said about that business consultant working with worldwide multinational organizations. That's created the context. The business consultant that works with new startup businesses is a context. So this is the context by which you operate. So whether it's big business, whether it's individual people, whether it's groups, whatever, so that's the context. I help, and this is the people that you work with. Businesses, small organizations, people that work from home, new startups, people that have got family difficulties, whatever it is, this is who you work with. And then the to, by, with, and then is actually what you do. And we only use one of those because to do all of them, it's just far too much. It will take more than 30 seconds anyway. So we just choose which would of those four things would be the best fit. And as a result, this is the result of your actions, because people want to see that there is something that they will get out of it as a result with working with you. Okay, so it's a sort of pulling together summary. Are you all right with that? Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing. I hope you've written those things down. Just give you a couple of seconds, just in case you haven't. Okay, right. So now what I want you to do is I want you to choose from your list of who your customers could be and what they want from you, I want you to choose 3 of those, and I just want you to follow that process of you know when. So all the conversation starts with you know when or you know how, if you don't like saying you know when. So I just want you to choose 3 and see if you could just write something down. Oh, I can see John in the background there. Hiya, John. Has he paid extra for listening to this, Colette? Sue Godfrey, we've got 12 people besides you and me.
Yep.
Okay, so could we have rooms of 3, 4 rooms of 3?
That's perfect. Yes, already done, Sue.
Thank you. Kirsty caught your thumbs up. So besides sucking at your drink,
It wasn't long enough, Sue.
wasn't long enough.
It was
We were all
Kirsty, but
discussing. It was lovely.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Did it help though?
Yeah.
All right.
I
well,
realised.
if we get a chance, we'll go back to it. So would somebody like to share one of theirs, or somebody dib on somebody that they heard which was a good one?
Caroline.
Oh,
Yeah,
Caroline.
Caroline's was good.
All right, Caroline's was good. Caroline.
Oh, a minute. I did mishmash mine.
Caroline, what is it that you do?
Okay, well, you know when you hear the words that businesses from I've ballsed it up now, sorry. Okay, I'll start again. You know when you hear the words income growth, planning, strategies, and getting more clients with impact? Well, I help business owners, leaders, and entrepreneurs to differentiate themselves without competition using our beyond marketing system strategies and solutions, where we've enabled businesses to double and triple their income.
Okay, don't want you're going into a lot of technical jargon. The whole point of this, Caroline, is to get out of the technical jargon.
All right.
Because you know how you started then, when you said, start it up again. You know when companies...
When you hear the words income growth, planning, strategies, and getting...
Stop there. Most people, right, steam would come out their ears and their hair would go on end and they wouldn't know how to deal with any of that. Well, what I do is, and then you're in.
Okay, because I'm business to business, so, you know, that's what I do. So it's business to business. I would imagine that business owners would understand those words.
I did. I understood them, but then I'm very corporate.
Yeah. So
yeah. No, I get that.
So what would you recommend that I take out? And
I would. You see, the thing is, every single person that ever hears you, they might not be corporate, but you know, if you had Vivian on here, Vivian's husband is very corporate. If Vivian understands it, she says, oh, I was just listening to Caroline Rack the other day. She does such and such, that might help you. So if we all understand it, then we can all say it to other people. And when I've understood it, and at my level, I can explain it to somebody else. If somebody says, what's Caroline do? And I says, it's something to do with planning or whatever, I'm not doing the best for you. And for me to do the best for you, I need to understand it without a lot of jargon. So try condensing it.
So the word strategic is not to be used. They would say that's not a good word to use.
Well, it's a bit difficult when you've got market strategy. Right? So what does strategic mean for you, Caroline?
Well, it's basically relating to business. It's looking at the whole thing and the planning and focus and action and activity that a business needs to get the success that they want.
That sounds absolutely fine to me without using the word strategy.
Okay, so all right, I could work on that. I can work on that.
I will be more than happy, Caroline, to do some one-to-one work with you and to help you with that, to break that down a bit, because you never know on a Zoom who's going to be listening. You see, at the minute, there's John sitting listening in on here now. John runs multiple businesses, and Colette could say, do you know that Caroline, she might be able to help you, because the very first time
I've got a lot of
it's
experience.
the first time I've actually understood what the blinding extra does. Oh, whatever. Okay. All right. So it was great, but was it great enough to get people, ordinary people, to understand it? And it's not about demystifying. No, it is about demystifying it, but it's not about, well, they don't need to know that. If I understand it, to me, it's a bit like saying this is a bit like having a chat to your next door neighbour who said to you, what, Caroline or Kirsty or Janet or Steph, what do you do?
Oh, that charge has gone.
If you answer the question and they go, oh, right, you'll know you've said it right. When they said, God, blinding heck, I've lived next door to you all this time, Liz. I have no idea what you did, but I understand that.
I wouldn't say all that. I
Ever
wouldn't say all that though. I wouldn't. If it was a next door neighbour, I mean, I geared this towards the type of customers, as you mentioned, the type of customers that you are working with or want to work with.
That's
if it was a normal I say normal, we're all normal people. If it was a next door neighbour or somebody saying, well, what do you do? I'd just say, well, I run my own marketing business.
okay.
And and leave it at that, because if I'm not, wanting to oversell to somebody that I'm just having a conversation with.
Yeah, and I did ask it, and you're quite right, Caroline. I did ask you to relate it directly to the links. Okay.
So I will tweak it to a generic version that suits people who are necessarily not in business then, or
perhaps not at the level of corporateness that. But then that's defeating your object of going on a Zoom, because when you're on a Zoom with Love Biz, we all need to understand what you do, but we might not all be corporate to that level.
Yeah. And as well, I said the word SMEs, and I thought that everybody's going to know what that is, because I know what it is. I've done it for 40 years. And that Kirsty said, what's an SME? But another person might not ask. They might just think, oh, God, no, that's not for me. I don't know what it is. I ain't asking.
Okay, we're back here again. So we've done our little bit. You work on what you've got to work on. And then we're going to look at a few things, because the other thing is, while we're on our 30 seconds, we've also got the power of exhibits. And exhibits we don't use as much of. And that's why some people got 2 brownie points today, because they've used exhibits in the background, didn't even know. So what's an exhibit? Because this goes on in the background. It's subliminal stuff that can show or bring your product or service to life. It could be an exhibit. Exhibits could be pictures, photos, an item, a customer letter. Yeah, somebody's just sent you a letter to say thank you for the services. You could say, I deliver and this is what somebody said today. Okay, so I want to show you an item. Here we are. So here's an item. So can you all see this? This is 2 broccolis. And if I pull that out there's the water running, because I've just fetched this out of my Hydra Veg kit. So if I'm chatting to somebody and we're talking about Hydra Veg, I'd talk about the Hydra Veg kit, and I'd actually bring them a product that says, hey, look, that's me growing, there's my little broccoli plants. I noticed that Sue Godfrey is going to be talking about incontinence for people over the age of 50. So she's got an exhibit to show that, haven't you?
Or it could be as a Welsh number 51 near the beach and the Welsh leak.
Right, okay. Now the other thing is, you might have noticed I have here, is my cup. So my cup's also, and I've had a few drinks of it. You might have also noticed that the picture behind me has changed. All right, because before, what was it showing?
I want to have a word.
It was your book.
Your new book.
Now it's got a Hydra Veg. And what I do is I've got a whole host of these little banners. So I'll just take it down for you. So this is an A3 size. It's got a magnetic bit at the top and the bottom. If I turn it round, that's a different product. And I've got two of those because now you can see I've got a different one behind. And if I'm not talking and my Sue's talking, then we've got one there, which is tap into help for my Sue's business. And so whatever we're on, we can turn around the background so we've got something else there that relates to our product or services.
That's really good.
So your background.
Well,
what
just ask a quick
people
question.
see-
My camera's always mirrored for writing. How do I, does anybody know how I would set that
Yeah,
up
you
so
can
that it's not
unmirror
mirrored?
it. Yeah, you can unmirror it. And one of the difficulties is when people put those Zoom backgrounds on that they keep disappearing into, it doesn't have any relationship to what they do. So think about your exhibits, what you can show them. Also the background, what people can see. This is sending subliminal messages, because while people are looking at you, they're actually really dead nosy. And they're thinking, oh, what's that that's going on? Oh, what's that picture that's going on behind there? And whatever. Okay. So people will be zipping around looking at your pictures while you're there. And also the thing is, we talk about the Zoom name and your Zoom chat. So your Zoom name always has to have your business, so people can relate to you while you're on there. And that's something that Sue Crooks and the whole team in Love Biz always try and get you to do. Change your name, change your name, change your name. So
I just say, Sue, the reason we do that is because if people just have the name, they can't relate it necessarily to LinkedIn as
Yeah.
easily. So, and also
absolutely.
it's
So
just a
names,
possibility.
embroidery for you. We have a pretty good idea. Now, if there was some embroidery in the background of Kirsty, we'd have even more idea. And, you know, we'd think, yeah, oh, actually, that's quite good. I never thought of embroidering something like that. That's quite useful. I might mention that to Kirsty.
I do normally have a mannequin with a garment that's embroidered for networking occasions.
Perfect, perfect.
And
All
also, I'm also wearing stuff, obviously.
right. Oh, yeah, of course. And so you can stand up and say, this is one I prepared earlier. Okay. All right. And remember that you've also got, if you pre-prepare your little what do you do things, what you want to say to people with your telephone number and your email address and everything else, your website, have a few of those on a Word document and have it on your desktop on your computer. So all you do is you cut and paste the particular one that you want for that event, because it could well be a particular type of audience. So I want that particular one today, or this is what I've talked about today. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to put that into the chat box when we share our details. So even your chat box could remind people then of what you've talked about that particular day, and can vary every time, just like your talk can. Okay, so let's end this and then stop sharing. Okay. Thing is, what do people know about what you do from what you say? You've got 30 seconds. And in that 30 seconds, you need to connect with people. So we've said, just as a refresher, just before we finish, we've said everybody wants to be like you and everybody wants to be like lots of other people. So what is it that you can say that will use those words? You know, many people after Christmas are looking to yeah, I'm one of those many people looking to do. Yeah. So it's about trying to grab them. And also, you know, if you're with the same people every single month on a Zoom, or every single week if you go on to a weekly one, are they picking up the same thing? What is it that I can say to them that's different every time to add an extra little dimension onto what I do and the services I provide? Is there anything specific that's going on at this moment that could link me to do this particular thing for a particular type of customer? Okay, and then make it so easy. And then once you get used to it, well, you know when, you might notice that when Caroline started with, you know when, I nodded, because even if people don't know when, they know when. Because when you start with you know when, it's like we're creating a story people love stories. It's a bit like saying, well, once upon a time, you think, oh, it's a story. Yeah, because we're programmed that so that you know when, or you know how, depending whatever you like, you know when, and people laugh and they're with you. And once they're with you, that gives you that inner confidence as well. Okay, so we're now at 2 minutes past. I'm going to get a good idea for going over. I'm sorry for the little pause in the middle of it, but it was a hospital appointment for me for my voice, because you might have realised my voice is very important to me.
Absolutely. And Sue, can I
thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Sue. And on behalf of everybody, can I say thank you for your time today. I'm sure everybody has taken away several nuggets, if not more, to put in. And really, we hope that you'll take this away, this information away, spend some time and really hone your 30 seconds and practice it so that you can go in with confidence.
Yeah, and don't forget your exhibits every time.
Yeah, the props are so valuable.
Props.
You know,
You'll notice when you talk to people online, some people have already had a little session on props and will automatically bring props with them, and it just adds an extra dimension. Any of you, including Caroline, if you want to send me your little writings of when, I will be delighted to get them and help you back out with that if you're stuck. All right, thank you very much. See you later. Bye bye.